You're listening to GotTech, the podcast with your hosts, Eric Geis and Nick Johnson.
Welcome back to GotTech, the podcast. This is episode number 36, called 11 Updates from Our Favorite EdTech Tools at ISTE. We are live here at ISTE, and we are happy to bring you these new improvements to our favorite tools. Hey everybody, welcome back to GotTech, the podcast. This is episode number 36, and we are live at ISTE 2019. Nick, how's it going?
It's going really good, really extremely exciting to have visited with the ISTE conference. For GotTech, this is our first time doing that, and we couldn't be more happy with how it went. It's so exciting to be around so much of the exciting EdTech that's happening today, with so many of the companies that we talk about all the time and that so many of you guys are interested in. And you get to actually meet those people and see what's going on and actually talk to a lot of the developers. One of the parts that I thought was the coolest is not only hearing from them, but sort of getting the chance to give them ideas too. And everybody's always so welcoming from that. So I think for me, guys, it was just an awesome experience so far.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone to several other conferences before, but this is by far the largest conference we went to. We went into the expo hall, and it took us almost a day and a half of going in there for a good chunk of our day. We would get up, we would go to a couple of the sessions, we'd go into the expo hall, we'd come out, grab lunch, go back into the expo hall, go to a session, go back to the expo hall, and really you get to see everything that is new and the latest, the greatest. There's a startup company area that you get to take a look at, see if it's something that you want to invest time and research and bringing that back to your classroom. But yeah, the conversations that we had with people, our goal wasn't to go and get sound bites. Our goal wasn't to go and sell GotTech. Our goal was to go and find out more so we could bring it back to our listeners and help them implement it. And this is a perfect time because it is the summer. So I think today what we want to do is we just want to share some of our takeaways from ISTE 2019.
Yeah, that's right. So a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today, we've put together a pretty awesome list from a lot of the EdTech tools that you've probably heard of before. Some of them probably have used before, but the reason we're bringing them up today is, like I said, just because they have some really new and exciting features, stuff that was either unveiled recently to the world, or some of these actually unveiled literally during the ISTE conference. So we're excited to report some of those back to you guys, and I'll kick it off with Flipgrid. Everybody's talking about Flipgrid fever and has been for the past couple years now, but they're coming out with some really exciting new things. We were lucky enough to attend a big Flipgrid event a couple nights ago, which was just so cool to kind of see their whole team and see how excited they are about some of these changes. So the first one I'll kick it off with, and as far as Flipgrid updates, is something they're adding called Shorts. Shorts is sort of like a new video option for when your students are recording things through Flipgrid. I think the best way to describe it, for at least if you are an Instagram user, is it kind of feels like Instagram stories in terms of length of the videos, in terms of the way that the videos can be edited with filters. They have little emojis that you can drag out over top of the video to personalize it, little text bubbles and boxes that you can add, and it really makes the Flipgrid video more personalized. And I think they're trying to replicate some of that feel of the social media apps that's, obviously everybody loves to use, and sort of building that in. They showed us some of the examples of these short videos that could be made with their new Flipgrid short camera. And it was just so cool. And it looks like the kids could have so much fun with it while, of course, in this sort of context of the Flipgrid app, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, but the one thing that I really like is the fact that all the tools that they need to make it interactive, to make their little short look nice, professional, and kind of like a little movie bite almost, is right there. And it does not take up the whole window. So if I'm recording a video, you could still see me. It's not like I'm recording over my face with a banner or an emoji or anything like that, there's plenty of room. They enlarge the screen so when they record, everything makes sense. And they did a really nice job with it.
So another thing for me personally that was so amazing, and probably the one single reason that I will start to use Flipgrid more in my class, is an automatic whiteboard editor that you can incorporate into a video that you record with their new Shorts camera. What that means is if you're a student recording with the Shorts camera, you can flip over to this whiteboard editor, which turns your screen into a whiteboard. And you can use your finger to write and talk over top of that. Now, as a chemistry teacher, kind of the biggest reason I haven't used Flipgrid is because so much of my class is math and writing down and then describing the math that you're doing and connecting that to phenomena that you see in the real world. And I know that's going to be for a lot of different subjects, but now envisioning that I can ask my students to not only solve a problem, which I do every day, but solve that problem. I can see it in the video and hear them describe what they're doing in each step of the solving process, and then push all those videos to one of my Flipgrid pages is so cool. And they can go back and forth between the whiteboard editor and they're recording their face with the webcam feature as many times as they want. This is just going to be incredible for me, and like I said, it's pretty much the sole reason that I'm going to start to use this a lot more in my class. And adding on to that, there's just like simple editing stuff. If there's multiple video snippets that are taken with the Shorts camera, you can really easily kind of drag and drop those, put them up next to one another to make one longer video within this Flipgrid platform. So those are a couple more of my favorite Flipgrid features.
Another thing that I like is they partnered up with Wakelit. They went away to make resources available within their Flipgrid, which is amazing. So Wakelit, that's an EdTech tool that allows you to make collections of resources and it allows you to share these resources. So what they did is they partnered with them. So now students can bring those resources into Flipgrid and they can make comments about them, and it's easily accessible for students. So I think that's a game changer as well.
Yeah, the Wakelit integration seems really cool. Another one that kind of caught our eye that Flipgrid is doing is something called Pals. And you're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Pals feature is sort of pairing up teachers using the feature with other teachers from around the world and making you almost like a Flipgrid pal, so that you can collaborate and talk to and build Flipgrid boards with your whatever other teacher. It could literally be somebody across the world that they have connected you with as your pal.
Yeah, I mean, pals have been around for a while, but the ease of use and the way to connect with people used to be through social media, and the news thing is the email. And we were sitting right next to our good buddy Kyle Nemus, and he was excited about that because he's used Flipgrid Pals, and he said having the email there solves everything. So I know he was excited, and that made me excited about it. So I thought that was also a very cool feature. But the one I want to talk about is, I think it's a game changer for our special education students, and that's the fact that Microsoft, I give them credit. They want to make all their products, and anybody that wants to partner up with them, they want to give them an immersive reader, which allows everything to be translated for ESL students, or it's just going to help everybody that needs that extra bit of help, and it's going to level the playing field. So I think that is pretty on par for what we need to keep doing and pushing for in education.
The immersive reader was mind-blowing to me. I'm pretty sure a part of that was for each Flipgrid video that's posted, the words, the audio from the video is transcripted. And then, if you're a student who struggles with different aspects of reading, this immersive reader that they're calling it in this partnership with Microsoft, so many cool things. Guys mentioned some of them. One thing that I thought was really cool is you have the option as a student to click on certain words that might be confusing become clickable, and that would then link them to maybe a definition or some other way to understand that word. There's also a line-by-line reader, so if you have trouble focusing on the whole page at once and maybe you lose your place, it'll kind of automatically black out all the other text except for just one of those lines, and you can kind of thumb down. There's a couple other aspects to it that we didn't really get a chance to fully investigate, but like I said, this immersive reader, so cool, and they even talked about bringing that same thing to other platforms that students might read from, just because of how helpful it could be. And from a teacher perspective, talk about how easily that differentiates and sort of meets some of the special needs of your students, really without doing any extra work. It's already built into the Flipgrid platform for any videos that are made. So I just think that was Awesome.
So the last update that they've done is a little bit with the sizing of the videos and how it looks on the grid. They did a lot of simplifications of how to set up the grid and all that, but the look of it has changed a little bit because now all the videos are the same length, same width. It looks very nice. You could reorganize them however you want. But there's also a mass action button, and you click on that and it gives you several options. You can hide those videos, you can display those videos, you can download those videos, and that's also something that makes the tool a little bit easier to use and a little bit more user friendly, and it cuts down on the time that the students need, or the teachers need, to maybe do something that they want to do with those videos.
Here's something I want to just add to that. The two things Geis just mentioned, the rearranging of the videos. There's also like a randomize feature that you can click to where the students get to view the videos randomly or in whatever order you set as the teacher, which is cool. But that feature, along with the mass action download, those two things were in direct response to something that just one teacher was asking for. They reached out to the Flipgrid team, kind of talked about their need of that and why it might be helpful, and it was done. They integrated that, and I just think it's so cool. And so many of these EdTech groups and EdTech companies are like this. They want to hear from you guys. They want to know what the needs are because that's literally like free product research for them. And they really, one thing that I don't know if you felt this way, but you can really tell that a lot of these companies, and Flipgrid's one of them, they really just want to make the best service possible to help teachers as much as possible. So please reach out to these guys. They love it. And like I said, they may literally directly do for their product the thing you're asking for. So that was pretty cool.
So that pretty much closes up our Flipgrid portion, and that's a big piece, but I feel like they make changes all the time. But let's go into Google, and there are so many Google updates and changes, and they come out all the time, so we're just going to pick some of our favorites that we've learned about. And the first one for me is a game changer. I used to have to use a different program to make a bank, and what I did is I copied and pasted things off of a Google Doc or from a Google Sheet, and that's where I kept all my questions, and then I would just bring them in, and that took a lot of time. But now in Google Forms, you can pull questions from all your other Google Forms and select which ones that you want to bring into Google Forms.
Yeah, this was always annoying for me too, because if I was making a new quiz with Google Forms or a questionnaire, I would just try and find an old one that was most similar to it, but I would have to make a copy of the whole document and then delete questions, and like you said, just kind of like retype in questions that I wanted in there from other quizzes that I've put together. But now, like you said, you can sort of copy paste those directly, so it's a simple thing, but I think that'll fill a big need for teachers. Another one that we kind of thought was neat from Google is their Google Expedition feature, which this summer is going to now be available on Chromebooks, which is amazing because, of course, a lot of schools are using Chromebooks for their one-to-one devices, or maybe you've got Chromebook carts for your kids to use. So anybody that's figured out a way to use Google Expedition in the class and it's been a struggle with the Chromebooks, definitely check that out because Google Expedition is super cool. Also, just check out Google Expedition if you haven't seen it yet. It's a really, really fun thing.
The next one is called Chromebook App Hub, and Chromebook App Hub is a collection of ideas brought by students, educators. I guess anyone could submit this. I guess they're looking more for the teacher side, or the educator side, but it's a bunch of lessons, and what they do is they kind of showcase what G Suite for Education products they use, how they use it, and they give examples of the uses of the different G Suite products.
Yeah, it looks like a really amazing tool, and I think what they're trying to do with the Chromebook App Hub is sort of pull together almost like lessons or curated things that teachers have put together. So when you go there to the Chromebook App Hub, and you can just search this and find it pretty easily on Google, there's a bunch of categories that allow you to filter. Some of them they call it the idea category, which is just a certain idea you want to pursue for a lesson in your class. You can filter by the age range of students you're teaching, and there's tons of options. Subject, learning goal even. These are all different search versions, and you just get this whole little window of populated things, and you can click on any one of them, and you'll see when you click on one of these that it's all put together by teachers, tech integration coaches from across the country, and it just kind of is almost like a lesson with these curated resources that a teacher can follow. It's got tips for success, it's got resources to get you started that contain a bunch of YouTube videos all pulled into one place. It's got apps that you can use if you want to use this idea in your class. So it'll list out whatever app you would need for this idea or this lesson, and then directions on how to set it up and how to integrate that into your class. Such a cool thing. Even if you just need some inspiration, check out the Chromebook App Hub, go to whatever subject you teach, and just start clicking on stuff until you see what's there. I think the real plan behind this is now there's so many different things. There's apps, extensions, add-ons, other sort of programs that you download directly. There's YouTube videos, and they're all over the place. But with the Chromebook App Hub, it's kind of pulling them into one central location so that it's all there, and you can just click within one page rather than having up a tab on the Chrome store where you can download the extension you need, a tab for 3 different tabs for 3 different YouTube videos. It's literally all here and curated for you as a teacher looking to incorporate some ideas into your class.
One of the things that really sticks out to me is the fact that you actually have to fill out an application to put something on there. And that in itself is going to filter out some of the ones that might not be the best fit or might not be an actual best practice, and it's going to eliminate the clutter. I wonder sometime if Google is going to come in and have a way to vote or put a like button there, or that way we can also kind of see which ones that are most used or the best resources on this platform, and have them be able to be voted up or maybe even taken off if they're not really as good as what they were intended to be, or if they're not serving the purpose that needs teachers. But this is an amazing resource. We just went on there for a couple minutes the other day after we heard about the hub, and we were like, wow, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. I could do that with that. I didn't think of that. And it just allows us to expand as educators.
Here's a more specific example just to give everybody a better sense of this. I just clicked on the first one I saw at the top of the screen. It's called From Screencastify to EdPuzzle, Make Your Instructional Videos Interactive. This was contributed by an EdTech consultant from Ohio. So again, just a regular person that submitted this application. When you click on it, beneath that, there's a little overview, just a really brief, quick paragraph to kind of give you a sense of what this idea is going to contain. Then beneath that, there's some tips. The tips include just little quick bulleted points about sort of how to pick the content for your video, what content works well for videos, tips about using the webcam feature, tips about how to actually do the uploading process. So that's something that slows a lot of people down, is feeling like you don't know how to do any of these things. Well, that's contained in this. There's differentiation strategies there for teachers who are making videos. So for your English language, English as a second language learners, special accommodations, it's all there. And then the best part, like we said before, is these curated resources, everything from YouTube videos to the exact Chrome extensions you'll need to make the videos. It's all there, all in one place. So you even have some things like this that aren't really for creating a specific lesson, but just general help for teachers on something they may want to do. So I can see this Chromebook App Hub going big places.
So let's get into our next one. It's not new, but they're making improvements to it, and I just want to throw a shout out there because this is one of my favorite TV shows growing up. I remember getting off the bus, maybe in middle school, elementary school, and coming in, and it was actually one of the TV shows that was on one of the 5 channels that we got. I was a country kid, and our satellite dish was 12 by 12 circle in our backyard. I used to go out and throw rubber balls off of it. It was so huge, and it would come back to me, and I would feel it practicing baseball. So having this type of a TV show was pretty much a great thing for me. I didn't watch a whole lot of TV, but do you remember Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah, I also loved it. I thought that was just the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, I was probably a little old to watch it, and I still watched it. And you know what? If it was on today, I'd still watch it.
I'd watch it right now.
I watched a rerun with my kids, and they aren't even old enough to understand it. But Google Earth is updating Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, bringing you more opportunity for that. So just go out and check it out. I don't think we need to go into it any more than that. If you know what Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego is, you're going to love it. So let's get into one of our favorite EdTech tools, period.
Yeah, this was really exciting for me. If you listen to the show, you've almost definitely heard me talk about my favorite video recording and editing, really screencast recording feature, which is Screencastomatic. And we got to actually meet and talk to some of the people from Screencastomatic at the ISTE conference, which was so cool. And like I said, the best part about it, besides actually talking to them and sharing ideas, which they love to hear, is hearing about what's coming up and what's new. So for Screencast-O-Matic, really awesome that they are being accepted onto the Chrome store, which is going to make it so much easier to use that product, which I think is already the easiest to use video editor out there, and definitely my favorite one. And now it just got a whole lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, we keep talking about screencast recorders, and the reason why we bring different ones to the table is because, everyone likes what they like, and there could be another one that offers something different, but I am telling you, from being a user of the Premier Edition, which doesn't cost you a lot, I mean, it might be a little over $1 a month, and for it, that isn't a lot.
No.
But the editing tools within Screencast-O-Matic are superior to any other screencasting tool. You could do everything that you could do with everything else, but the editing is fantastic. I have never had a problem. I could push out a flipped classroom video I record it for 10 minutes and it's done. I go back, I edit it, something, I put a little intro in there, my standardized intro. I could do all that and be done with the video, a 10-minute video in under 20 minutes. And that's edited, that's adding certain things, inserting maybe a slide that I forgot. It's just amazing. And I do not understand when we go to conferences and stuff why we hear some others over this one.
Yeah.
Just doesn't make sense to me.
I don't get it either, but there are, Screencastify, a lot of people like that as their favorite one. A lot of this is very personal, so we get that. But yeah, I just think with Screencast-O-Matic, you can make a professional quality video, literally 2 clicks. One to start recording, one to stop, and you're done. Now, if you get into it, of course, there's a lot more time you can spend and ways to enhance that, but that's my favorite part. And like I said, now that they're available in the Chrome store, just got that much easier. So big shout out to Screencast-O-Matic and the team over there. Another one which is kind of cool that we actually probably don't bring up that much, so it was exciting to see some new things for this team. That's Adobe Spark now has a collaboration option, kind of seeing what's happening with Google and now Microsoft getting more into the collaboration game, because that works so well for the education space. We're seeing Adobe Spark is going to open that up for teachers and students also, which is great. Obviously, we don't need to tell you guys about the benefits of collaboration for classroom and classroom projects, but to know that you can do that within Adobe now is also really, really cool.
So let's go into formative assessment tools. We could talk about GimKit a little bit here. The creators of GimKit were here. They had their purple shirts. Very energetic guys. I don't know if you saw the video of him packing, but I thought it was hilarious.
That was really funny.
He's packing all these types of tees because that is tea, and he's packing a t-shirt because that is tea. And he left his long sleeve shirt at home, which is probably a good thing because it's been very hot this week.
Yeah, the humidity came back in too, which is kind of a bummer. But
so GimKit's offering a lot of updates as well. They're making a gamification tool even more gamified, and I heard that they have some improvements coming in the feedback arena or spectrum of that tool, so keep an eye out for that. And another one that we heard had several changes is Kahoot. Now, yeah, these are competitors in the same space, but they're 2 quality tools. All right? And there are others in this space, and they all have things that make them unique. But let's talk a little bit about the Kahoot updates. For example, this is a small change, but I think this is a big change. They made more room for the question on the interface. What's the most important thing when you're taking a formative assessment? It's the question. So now they made more room, which I think that's a good thing because, once again, making things easier to read, more accessible, I think that's a big part of education.
Agreed, and Kahoot is an awesome tool, but one of the knocks that I've heard certain people say on it is that the time element was too short. And for a lot of students, I was one of these kids. As soon as I see that there's a time, and especially if it's a minute, something short like that, even if I can answer the question, the time, it just messes with my head, and I can't do it. I slow down, I start bouncing all over the place. So I think sort of in response to that critique, Kahoot has extended their timer, so now it can be 4 minutes. So you keep some of that time element because, of course, they're built in this sort of game style platform. So I think the time is important for what Kahoot is, but I do like the option to extend it to that 4-minute time just for some kids that might, where previously the time element might have prevented them from actually being able to listen and pay attention and learn at their optimum level because of that. So I think that's an awesome change.
Yeah, I was working with one of our teachers at our high school at the end of the year, and we actually chose a different assessment tool because she was doing genetics problems. She was having students write out the whole entire test cross, and that takes time, but that's how she wanted to do it. And I think Kahoot just, stepped up and said, okay, we hear you teachers, here you go. We're going to expand it to four minutes. And I bet you if there's a need to make it longer, and they heard that, they would probably change because, some of these companies are chameleons. They're able to get people working for them and quickly to update these things because they know that teachers need a specific thing and they need to work on it quickly in order to make it relevant. And I think Flipgrid and Kahoot and all these Google platforms and, basically everyone that we're talking about today are doing a nice job of that. So 2 more things on Kahoot. First is you're able to reorganize the questions. It's a drag and drop feature. Allows you to reorganize the questions. But the other thing is they now have autosave. So if you're working in a place that keeps bouncing in and out of Wi-Fi and you're working on a quiz, you're no longer losing that work. It's auto-saving. It will be there as a draft, and that's amazing.
Super huge. Yeah, I love the auto-save feature, kind of, again, stealing ideas from other places like the Google Docs that are saving all the time, and so many things do that now, and Kahoot's jumping on board as well. This last one, for me at least, besides getting to talk to Screencastomatic, getting to talk to the team from Text Help was so cool. If you don't know Text Help, they have a couple different things. One of them is another one that we talk about all the time on the show. And that is, of course, Equagio. I actually got to talk to the person that developed Equagio itself, which was so amazing, and he actually showed me some features that I didn't even know that it had. Equagio, if you're not familiar, lets you sort of type equations and math and all sorts of other things. As a chemistry teacher, there's all sorts of ways to really simply type like isotopic notations for anybody that knows that, which is such a pain because there's like a subscript and a superscript stacked on top of each other. It's a nightmare. They kind of make that super easy and build it right in.
You could do that.
Yeah, man. I didn't even know.
I didn't know that either. I thought it was more like exponents and things like that. That is amazing.
It's amazing. And that wasn't new. That's been around. I just didn't know it, which is crazy. And again, he told me that was in direct response to one chemistry teacher that asked for it. Even though we've all been thinking it, one chem teacher asked for it. They responded. They even named the feature after her, which I thought was super cool. The little initials of the feature are the initials of the woman who asked for this, which I think is a nice little nod. A couple things that they're updating in Equagio. One is minor, but I'm a big fan of this, and that is when you edit and add an equation, you can change the color. So added a couple different color options, which is pretty neat. A huge one for Equagio is they're going to very soon be incorporating with Microsoft products as well. And if you use the Equagio in the Microsoft product, when you transfer back and forth, say from a Word document into a Google document, the equation won't get messed up because that when you switch back and forth, of course, between those two platforms, any equations that you've got that are typed into one kind of get screwed up in the other, and they're going to make that much more seamless now between those two platforms, which I think is super huge. So for me, like I said, talking to the Equagio people and hearing a little bit about their updates was super exciting. And also for Text Help, they've got a couple other things, and one of them Geis is going to tell you about. It's called Raikou, which we did, I think, mention on a recent show, but there's some really cool stuff happening there too.
Yeah, I'm going to back up a little bit because I also talked to a representative of Text Help. It was actually the Jersey, Pennsylvania representative. We had a great conversation. He was a very nice guy, and he's like, yeah, you know what, if you want to implement this stuff, reach out to us. We'll set it up, set it up for you so we can integrate it in the fall with your teachers. And to me, I was like, that's awesome. I mean, I would invite these guys out anytime. I was telling them the story of some of our math and science teachers, were sometimes hesitant to take on certain tools, and Equagio is an amazing tool. And I actually told them how I had talked with some of our math teachers, and this isn't just at the high school, this is at the middle school, and even some elementary teachers. I challenge them. I give them 5 equations on a piece of paper, and I have the same 5 equations, and I'll be like, if you enter these 5 equations the way that you do it, before I enter 5 equations in the way I do it, I'll buy you lunch. I've done this several times, and no one's beaten me. I mean, sometimes I even go over and I'll be like, hey, you could get a head start. I'm going to go over here and write a text to my wife real quick. I'll be back. I'll come back, and I'll be like, hey, are you done? Because I'm done. Let me know when you're finished, or something like that. And they'd be like, well, how'd you do that so quick? And then then guess what? They're hooked, they're in. And I think that is a great way to challenge people. It kind of gamifies learning a tool or getting them interested in learning a tool. But let's talk about Raikou. That's WRIQ. And yes, we did bring this up as one of our 50 student-centered applications or Chrome extensions in a previous episode. But Raikou is amazing for anyone that asks students to turn in a writing assignment. What it's going to do is the students turn in the writing assignment, and it's going to correct the grammar, the spelling, and all that, and it's going to identify that, but it's also going to score it. It's going to say, these are how many grammar mistakes, spelling mistakes, that type of thing. So that takes all that time that you had to do that out of it. But then they also have rubrics built in, and the rubrics are amazing. It's very simple. Their traditional rubrics that they have right now are at grade level, below grade level, or there's one other category. I think it might be advanced or exceptional or something like that. And then they're coming out by fall. They're coming out with you guys are able to make your own rubrics. And I think that's huge. So if there are 7 writing skills, you could put those in there. But for me as a science teacher, and I know you could relate, I'm making students do a formal lab write-up or claims evidence reasoning write-up. I no longer have to do that grammar check. I'm just going to be responsible for the content and making sure that content fits the standards that I put forth there, or the new rubric that I made within there. And I think that is huge.
Yeah, and for any of the teachers that have sort of felt left out in the automatic grading world, and that's going to be those of us who do writing with our students, which should be everybody, English teachers especially, but even as a chemistry teacher, my students write all the time. There's no way to automate that, and there still is not, because of course you need the human element to read it and sort of decide what the student was trying to say. But getting closer to that and at least making it faster, something like Raikou, like you said, that just kind of takes away the grammar, the spelling, all that's done automatically. So it is the teacher. You just have to read it for hopefully what you actually want to read it for, which is the content and what they're saying and how they're saying it.
Think about teaching. It's data-driven. It should be data-driven. We want to make sure that our students are improving. And to me, I would rather them improve individually than, I'd rather compare individual scores. So you 5 months ago to you present day. And now you can do that. This is basically a tool that's going to allow you to finish your SGO very, very quickly if you're an English teacher. Think about it. If you want students to improve on grammatical errors, you give them an assignment, they hand it in. Little Johnny got 53% grammatical correctness, right? And you want him to improve on that by the end of the year. They do a similar assignment, he's down to 16%. Well, guess what? You just proved that little Johnny has improved because of your instruction over the course of the year. And that right there, my friend, is saving teachers time. And that's what we are all about. We're trying to take all the guesswork, all the research that teachers have to do, going out, researching the app, researching the EdTech tools. We do that for you, and then we bring you some practical ways of incorporating it into the classroom. And if anything, at ISTE, we've strengthened that focus for our show, our episodes. We want to make sure that we're giving you the best tools out there possible, and that we are explaining ways that you could use those into the classroom.
Thanks for listening to Got Tech, the podcast. Remember to subscribe to our show and follow us at We Got Tech on Twitter so you can stay up to date with the latest episode releases, blog posts, product reviews, and PD announcements. You can also follow Geist and I individually at Geist Got Tech and at Nick Got Tech on Twitter, or on Instagram at Nick Got Tech. Finally, remember to check out our website, GotTech.com, where we post all our episodes, articles, and resources available to you for free. Until next time.